Hey, what's up, everybody, and welcome back to the latest episode of Miami Total Football. It's July 4th, so that means it's Independence Day. Happy holidays to all of you who are celebrating with your friends, family, or loved ones. But July 4th means it's also the day after Inter Miami had its last game, its most recent game, and that was a 1-0 defeat, yes, yet again, against CF Montreal. Now, we'll go into what happened over the course of the game, but the decisive strike came in the 41st minute, a few minutes before halftime, and it came on a play that started from the left but ended up on the right with a nice finish from a tight angle. That was all it took for CF Montreal to come out on top in this one and give Inter Miami its fifth straight defeat and sixth in the last 7 matches. Now, Inter Miami is in a bad way. It's in a big losing streak and stuck in a bit of a rut right now, not able to find answers and solutions to get out of this and get into winning ways, and that's something that has the team very, very frustrated as it goes into another 2-week break.
We are losing too many games, and we now need to stand up, every single one of us, myself included, myself more than anyone, to make sure that we're all absolutely better.
Now, if we're going to talk about the performance, we know the result. Let's talk about the performance, because this was another poor one from Inter Miami by and large. There were improvements made in the second half when Phil Neville changed the tactics and changed the formation and went with a 3-2-2-3, the WM formation, but they were marginal and there just wasn't that much in the final third, which is a big talking point for Inter Miami through these first 11 games of the season, because the team right now statistically has the worst attack in MLS. It has produced just 9 goals this season and has been shut out in 4 of these 5 losses. So scoring is a struggle. Scoring is an issue for this team, and that's something that has to be corrected when games pick back up again, because if you can't score, you can't win. Obviously, the idea is to keep a 0 at the back, something Inter Miami has emphasized a little bit more and done a better job of being tougher to play against and being tighter. But in the attack, it's struggling in a big way, and changes need to be made for that to be corrected.
We need to be better, and those players that now have been brought to the club to produce moments of magic, to produce match-winning performances, to produce match-winning crosses, the players that we expect to do that now have to deliver. And that's what the demand will be on. It's unacceptable. We have to now deliver. And that's not a threat. That is just reality of where we are at this moment in time.
Yeah, your opinion is fair. I don't think we've always created enough chances. So you're right with it. But as I said, we need that little bit of luck to start believing that we can change it around,
Now, going back to the performance just for a second, CF Montreal created a lot of chances in that first half, and they didn't put them away. It took them a little bit of time to do so, but eventually they did. But before that, it was some last-ditch, desperate defending, a couple of goal line clearances, a couple of successive goal line clearances from Christian Makoun on one play. Kelvin Leerdam came up with another big defensive intervention on another play. So Inter Miami was bending, and then it eventually broke. But why was it that CF Montreal was able to create so many good chances or get so many decent to good looks against an Inter Miami team that had been, by and large, more difficult to break down and play against in the past couple of weeks? Well, a big reason was because the lines were very far apart. Normally, you want your lines tight. You want the midfield line to be tight to the forward line, and the back line especially to be tight to the midfield line. And you want the team moving as a unit, as a group, and obviously to stay compact and organized to limit the space in which opposing teams can play into or through. And that just did not happen here. From the first minute to minute 45, Inter Miami's back line with its midfield line just weren't in sync. There was a big swath of space, big land between the two lines, and that allowed CF Montreal to find a lot of space to play in and play through, and that helped them find a rhythm and create some chances. The game-winning goal comes on a play that starts in on the left, and because the midfield line is so separated from the back line, Kelvin Leerdam and Nicolas Figal both press forward so as to not allow CF Montreal's attackers to just come at them. They press forward, and that obviously breaks the defensive line a bit because they're uneven with Leandro Gonzalez-Pires and Christian McCoon, and then the ball's moved from left to right, or from right to left if you're looking at it from an Inter Miami standpoint, and the goal comes in from a tight angle on the opposite side. But where was the understanding? Where was the organization? Why was this team in such a jumbled mess? Because again, it's just very disorganized, and it's pretty basic concept in soccer that you want to have your lines as tight as you possibly can with only a few yards of space in between, especially if you're focusing on trying to play compact. Even if you're trying to press in a higher block, you still want the lines to be tight. You don't see these large areas of space, and that's something that falls on head coach Phil Neville and his technical staff, because during the week, that's something you work on. You work on how you want your team to move or press or to retreat and draw back and fall into a more defensive posture. That's things that are worked on during the week. And the fact that there was pretty much two separate entities, two separate groups, one with the front six pressing, maybe not pressing, but sitting in a higher block, and then the back line sitting in a deeper block, that's completely on the coaching staff, because that can't happen. That just can't happen when you've had a proper week's worth of training. I know that Inter Miami had some training sessions interrupted by inclement weather, but that's just not enough of an excuse for that poor of a performance. And that's something that has to be changed. Phil Neville has to look at that and find out why that was. Maybe his tactics weren't clear enough, or maybe the message didn't get through to the players. Whatever it is, he needs to take a very close look. He'll have 2 weeks to do that before the next game, but that absolutely has to be addressed, because that's a pretty big mistake to be making from the first minute to the 45th minute. That's just a very simple error, a very simple team concept that should not be happening at this level.
I took the job because it was a massive challenge, and we're going to make sure, we've said in the dressing room at the end, we won't fail. This football club has to succeed, and we will, and I'm convinced of that.
Now, one more thing I want to touch on in this one is Inter Miami's lack of quality in terms of attacking set pieces. We touched on their struggles in the final third, their lack of profundity, their lack of or their inability to penetrate the final third on a regular basis. Not even when Gonzalo Higuain came in to start the second half and Inter Miami moved into that WM formation that I mentioned before. Now, going back to the set pieces, which is what I wanted to touch on, is that Inter Miami has only scored off of one set piece this year. Now, take away penalty kicks. I'm talking about corner kicks and free kicks. And if you remember, that came back in week 2 when Federico Higuain fed Gonzalo Higuain on a free kick and Gonzalo Higuain headed home. That's the lone set piece goal, penalty kicks aside again, that Inter Miami has scored this season. Besides that, they haven't scored. They're not even creating that many clear-cut opportunities off of set pieces. Now, Inter Miami this season has a designated member of the technical staff with the title set piece specialist, but we haven't seen much of anything in that regard. And this is something that I touched on last year. It was a problem for Inter Miami in 2020 under previous head coach Diego Alonso, because one problem that I noticed last year was that they don't have very many true threats to attack set pieces. They don't have very many quality targets in the box. Leandro Gonzalez-Pires is the only one that repeatedly shows the conviction, timing, and aggressiveness to get on the end of things and try to score. Nobody else really does so, not on a consistent basis, and that's a big problem for Inter Miami, because when you're a team that isn't scoring much from the run of play, that isn't able to really break down opposing teams that often, you need all the help you can get. And set pieces, they're a big part of all goals in professional soccer. I believe the stat that has made its way out there in the public is that it's 1/3 or 1/4 of all goals scored come off of set piece situations, dead ball situations. So Inter Miami has to improve on that, because those set pieces can get you back into a game if you're losing. They can give you the lead in a game if it's 0-0 and you're struggling on the day, and it can win you a game late, like they did last year when Inter Miami scored its first goal off a corner kick, in that match against Orlando City towards the end of the season. So that needs to be improved. They need to figure out a way to make or to take better advantage on those and capitalize on those. We've seen different wrinkles, different things that they've done. I think Phil Neville and his coaching staff have realized, look, it's not working by just sending the ball into the box. So they've tried to become a little bit more creative. They've had fullbacks go up the field and receive short passes, or not short passes, but low passes, and then try to hit in crosses from deep to try to catch the opposition by surprise. We saw Lewis Morgan take a shot from distance here that you wouldn't expect him to take. So they're trying different things, but it's still not working. So Inter Miami has 2 weeks to really try to figure something out, and they definitely need to do so, because again, this, like most of the team's aspects, is just not good enough.
You know, a guy scored a goal. He thinks he can do. He can fight against the whole world. You know, so we just need a little bit of luck and a win, quick.
But that about does it for now. What did you think of Inter Miami's 1-0 road loss to CF Montreal? Do you have any optimism that the season can be salvaged? Obviously, still only 11 games into the season, but do you think there are reasons for optimism, or is your outlook pretty bleak at this point? What did you think about the Lions and how they played? Do you chalk that up to the coaching staff, or do you chalk that up to players just not understanding one another? Let me know in the comment section below. Also, let me know what you think about Phil Neville hinting that Rodolfo Pizarro and Gonzalo Higuain will be back in the lineup in the next game against the New York Red Bulls on July 17th, because obviously the attack needs a boost in quality and it needs some goals. So do you think that's a solution, or do you think the team needs to do something else? Again, let me know in the comment section below. You can hear the fireworks going off. Enjoy the rest of your 4th of Julys. I'm Franco Panizo of Miami Total Football, and we'll see you back here very, very soon.